So far, no Republicans have expressed support for what's known as the Inflation Reduction Act. And that's notable because it actually includes provisions that have been very popular with the GOP in the past. When you look at the bill, what you see is a series of trade-offs. So here are the facts about what is in the legislation as it stands now. For starters, it would be the biggest climate investment in U.S. history, with $369 billion set aside to combat global warming. That includes consumer tax credits on electric vehicles, rooftop solar panels, and energy-efficient water heaters, among other things. But we should note there are also billions in tax credits to fossil fuel companies to encourage them to invest in clean energy manufacturing. And this is key. The bill actually supports expanding investment in domestic oil and gas exploration on federal lands and in offshore federal waters. In fact, for the next decade, any new wind or solar energy project on federal land could only be approved if a new lease is approved for oil and gas drilling as well. On taxes, the bill abandons tax increases opposed by Republicans, including raising the corporate tax rate, the personal tax rate, or the capital gains tax rate. The bill also includes changes to the health care system, including a measure on prescription drugs. Specifically, the bill would empower Medicare to negotiate the prices of certain costly medications, which has garnered bipartisan support. The bill would also expand the Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year until 2025. And as for that carried interest loophole that Senator Sinema nixed, even President Trump expressed support for eliminating that in the past. A word comes to mind here, a rare one in Washington these days, and that word is compromise. Joining me now to discuss this, senior editor for The Atlantic and CNN senior political analyst Ron Brownstein, and Asma Khalid. She's White House correspondent for NPR. Good to have you both on. And Ron, listen, just a straight up list of the Democratic Party's legislative accomplishments. And by the way, you could call several of these bipartisan. The budget bill looks to be on track now. You had gun legislation, bipartisan. The CHIPS legislation got through, this about semiconductor production in the U.S., but also NATO membership for Finland and Sweden. When you add that up, how does that stand in previous administrations for getting that kind of legislation passed in that period of time?
Yeah, they are on track to get a lot done. Obviously, there's a lot that Democrats care about that passed the House that got blocked in the Senate, particularly voting rights. Yeah. But when you look at what they were able to do, and as you note on several of these with bipartisan support, it is a significant list. And this bill is, as Joe Biden might have once put it, a BFD. I mean, the Medicare negotiating prescription drugs is something that Democrats have been seeking for 20 years, since Part D of Medicare was created under George W. Bush. It's something that could have an enormous effect on pocketbooks around the country. And then the climate investments, which are the biggest investments in transitioning to our clean energy the federal government has ever made. There are estimates it will bring down U.S. climate emissions by 40%, nearly enough to meet the target of 50% by 2030. And politically, gives Democrats really the first, I think, positive thing they can go to young voters with and say your vote makes a difference. Previously, their message to young voters was mostly negative, stop Republicans from taking away your abortion rights. This is something positive, and it does add up to a significant legislative record, even with many party priorities that were still blocked by the filibuster.
Asma Khalid, the number one issue for voters that you often seen in polling is the economy and inflation. And Bernie Sanders, of course, who caucuses with the Democrats, his criticism of this bill is that it doesn't hit the bottom line for most Americans in the way many are demanding. So some way to help them get through and over these higher prices. I mean, is that, from a political standpoint, with the midterms 3 months away, is that a miss in this budget legislation?
Look, I mean, I think that Democrats do, to Ron's point, need to go out and have something concrete that they can pitch to voters. And this is it. I mean, if you look at it, it is essentially a slimmed down version of the Build Back Better legislation that the Biden White House first put forth, but it has a new name. It's now called the Inflation Reduction Act, namely because Democrats are acutely aware that inflation is the primary concern that voters have. When you talk to economic analysts, there's no expectation that this bill will in any tangible way actually help bring down rising costs before November. I mean, that is just not a realistic proposition, but it's a messaging strategy. And I do think for Democrats, it's one thing to be able to put forth legislation. Democrats have consistently struggled at being able to message those wins. That's something they struggled with for many months around the infrastructure bill. And I'm curious if this is different and they're able to pitch it to voters, because that's part of it, not just passing it, but pitching it.
Yeah, Ron, the sort of contradiction in the midst of this, right, is you have President Biden achieving many of his legislative goals, in some cases against the odds in recent months. I mean, if we were talking 2 weeks ago, we would have said, any version of Build Back Better was dead. But at the same time, you have Democrats, certainly privately, but more and more openly questioning whether Joe Biden should even run for president in 2024. Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project, he tweeted about this earlier today saying, quoting him here, Jesus, Democrats can't organize a two-car motorcade, but they sure can turn the guns on the leader of their party 90 days before an election. I wonder, do you agree with that criticism here, that the party surprisingly is not rallying around the president in the midst of this?
Well, look, I think the 2024 conversation is real. It has a lot to do with Biden's age, and I don't think that's going away no matter what legislative achievements he have. The more immediate question, the more immediate problem, Jim, is that Biden's approval rating among Democrats had fallen, Democratic voters had fallen below 80%, and that threatens to compound what is the typical effect going back for 150 years, where the party out of power is already usually more motivated to vote in a midterm election than the party that holds the White House. And I do think this achievement does have the potential to restore faith in the near term, leaving aside 2024, among some Democrats, particularly younger Democrats. I mean, his approval numbers among young voters have been terrible. And this is something that is a big priority for him. Can I also plant one flag in the ground? All of this reminds me of what Barack Obama was able to do in 2012 with the auto bailout. And I think when you look at the combined effect of the investments in this bill encouraging domestic manufacturing, the infrastructure investments, and the semiconductor bill encouraging domestic manufacturing, I think you're going to see Biden or whoever is the Democratic nominee in 2024 going to rusted out industrial communities and making the case that we have invested in your prosperity in the same way Obama was able to do across the Midwest with the bailout in 2012.
Listen, a lot's happening. No question. Ron Brownstein, Asma Khalid, good to have you both on. Look forward to having you back